So, today's discussion is going to be it's going to be about why the world. It's not necessarily like, it's very hard. It's like right now, especially at this stage in the world, in regards to what's happening to Gaza, it's just fucking hard. It's very hard to, it's not hard, it's very simplistic in its nature of like why it's happening and why it's being allowed to happen. But as a citizen of the world, as just a human, it's just very hard to accept. And I think it's a good thing that it's hard to accept, and that I'm not accepting that this is the only solution that we have to continue this barbarity by the Israeli government. But having said that, it got me thinking about the kind of the how should I say, the structure, like the world, the mechanics or the engine that drives like the force of how civilizations, and how more specifically imperial or colonial type of like this colonization, like we haven't. Okay, my point is that we haven't really left colonialism or imperialism behind. We've adapted it and we molded to something that's more palatable to like the average person, but its core principles have not really changed for like thousands and thousands of years. It's just been repackaged. And I'm just saying the current iteration of colonialism / imperialism is that in order for it to work, they need the oppressed people to be like, to have this mindset that you need conquerors, to accept that, this is just the way of life, that they're gonna bomb you, they're gonna take away your resources, they're gonna, every time you're trying to find a deal, every time you're trying to find work, every time you're trying to find a wig, it's just the way how the system works. And if we didn't have this system and work, well, where would we be? And it's always like, if I wasn't here to oppress you, like this form, this version, to to promote and to insinuate this form of oppression onto your everyday lives, like, do you really want to go back to the other ways? Like, if I don't conquer you, somebody else is probably gonna conquer you and subjugate you, and they're gonna be way worse off than me. And I find that it's almost like akin to like how, like, you ever see like those snails with that parasite, and that parasite, like, unbeknownst to the snail, it's like the it's like, you could, like, it's like the colorful like weird looking patterns that the parasite thing, and the parasite is just eating and it's making the snails go mad, and the snails just kind of like, you know, existing just to exist, just to have be just be of sustenance for the parasite. Like that's just like their soul. But that's how I feel like this version, this version 2025 update, software update of colonialism / imperialism is that it seeps into like societies that haven't caught up to like modern technology but doing just fine and great by themselves, and that they kind of like invade. They don't it's not like they invade like their structure, and they have like this pretense that, oh yeah, we have such great things to show you, and we have a partnership, and then before long, like they kill off the people, and these people, it's like I feel like way back when, it's probably like these people were probably like, you know, I can't prove that they have bad intentions, but this is not how people with good intentions act. And people were like, oh no, you know, like that's not how these people operate. These people are different. And then before long, you know, majority of these people get wiped out and repeat the same process. And I can't help but think that one of the main reasons is the Israeli government and its people is doing like this love affair with the Nazis, to be honest, because you cannot like have so many parallels and then have people be so gleeful in the destruction of like innocent lives. Like it's like, oh, I hope to destroy all these, like that's the type of flavor, that's the seasoning that they're using in Israel right now, that they're like, I cannot wait. I wake up, I go to sleep, and I think about, I want to make sure that I specifically target Palestinians, and I just feel even better about myself as children. And it's not even like a vibe. It's like that's some of the like heinous shit that you say, and you'd be like, yeah, this is akin to like the vibe the Nazis was spelling out when they'd be like, everybody get the gas chamber. Like I don't care how young you going in that gas chamber, and you'd be like, oh, I'm appalled. And then you fast forward now, it's like the government themselves, because this has been going on for just out in the open, unabashedly out in the open. It's like these mainly Western governments, and you know, and some governments have just been like, oh, we stand. First, it was we stand with Israel, and it's unfortunate. It was just unfortunate, and nobody didn't want to talk about it. And now that more prominent people are stepping up, like Miss Rachel, and people are like, you know, paying attention more to like the how many people how many Palestinians are dying. Now they're saying, oh, we want peace, but it's just like when like imperial colonization, when it just doesn't, when it's like they have I just can't help but think that their mindset is so enrooted in that colonial, like imperial, like mindset, that they can't help but just graduate their thinking into being like, oh, that's what, you can't really listen to what the plebes or the peasants think, that because right now is our dream, and especially with these Western countries that they've been trying so hard to be like, oh, we want to make the Arab world like more Western. Like they've been just fucking creaming over that for like ever since I was a child. Keeps on, they've been having this rhetoric and pushing all these ideas, and they've just been like, oh, we're gonna do our best. I know we failed this time, but we can always try again. We can, they have to see the light. And it wasn't just like the Arab world, it was like Asian countries. But I think from then they kind of like slightly abandoned that. But then they forever just be like, oh, they have to see the way. They have to see the way that the Quran is wrong, that, their way of thinking, their way of doing things is just wrong. And we will not let this go. We will go through any means necessary. And the irony about that is that they couldn't even stand Jews not too long ago. All these countries that fought in World War II, that was like, we're gonna find a place for all these poor Jewish. They could not before World War II, and even up until like after when they found out what the Holocaust, they could not stand Jewish people. They could tolerate them more so than the Nazis could. But girl, look up the historical records and how they were like, oh, we don't want no Jew, we don't want no Irish, we don't want no blacks, we don't want no Italians. Look it up. But anyways, but then they all like, oh, well, if anything now they all have this APAC, but the APAC is just Israel. They're all like pushing money towards that because they know they got like a free out of jail card for anything that they commit, because they'd be like, see, we support these malign, these oppressed, and then like you are supporting the oppressors. Like these people are like these Israeli government, because if you don't make that distinction, they'd be like, oh, now you oppressing me because you're not allowing me to oppress other people. That's the vibe they were getting. But let me, before I digress any further, and go back to like just they need conquerors or whatever aesthetic. It's just that. It's just sad, and it's also maddening that a lot of people feel as though, oh, you yourself would just be in a worse off fate if I didn't install a dictator, if I didn't ruin your shit, if I didn't try to like suppress the economy and just control everything, so that it's just like shit. It's just like, it's not worse, but it's just shitty. It's just in order to prop up these Western countries, And then it's just like the whole framing of like how the news and how information is going to so like the framing was always messed up with people of color. That's just been a known fact, that they always, the other is always bad, and they always trying to get you, and the way that they're doing is always uncouth, uncivilized, and heathens and savages and etc. But especially now, like they went through so much to frame that Israel was justified by doing anything. They have a whole campaign over a year now. I think it's over like almost 2 years, almost going up on 2 years or something since this happened, that they were like, yeah, they're justified. They bomb a hospital. Yeah, they're justified. They shoot the child, a 7-year-old, in the head. They justified. Um, they're targeting journalists. Well, let's have a quick question because I'm a journalist. But I'm not gonna say that they're not justified. I'm just gonna question whether they should have. They're creating this famine. They justified. They justified. They justified. They justified. They justified. They justified. And it's just like now that they know that by popular demand, people are like, we not like gonna co-sign on this anymore. We're calling a spade a spade. We see that it's a genocide. We know it's a genocide, and we're gonna acknowledge it's a genocide, and we're not gonna pretend like, oh yeah, like we're cool with how you're reporting it and how you're saying like, oh yeah, like, oh, still let's help, to continue to promote a genocide. So no. But it's just interesting that it's not interesting. It's just really like sad, and it's just kind of like everything. Israel is justified for like this war, and I'm like, what war? And then that's how they've been framing it. First it was like, oh, we'll have to defend ourselves, and we won't call it war. Then they're calling it an all-out war, and I'm just like, when is like you have when a war, it's like, oh, both sides equally push back and some things fall back, and it's like, but this is just a massacre. One side is committing like a massacre and a group of people and committing also genocide, and they're calling it a war, which is just pretty pathetic. And then it's like this cult, this wave also, which is just kind of like, oh, you would think that the Israeli government and these type, no, you would think, but they've been going through like this whole purity swipe adjacent to white nationalism, like for a minute right now, like just certain sects of Judaism or whatever, Zionists specifically. And it's just kind of like, but you see how this is like, parallel to like white nationalists, like what it would do Nazism and stuff like that, where it'd be like, oh, you gotta be pure. All of these people are like, I don't consider them people. Like, and I'm listening to all these things, and they're like, no, it's different. It's different because we're talking about religion. It's different. I'm like, okay. And then since like this, the way how the government, like, capitalism in itself, always trying to find a way to get their coins, especially with tragedy. It's like, goes GoFundMe. Like, these people losing their a lot of people are losing their lives. A lot of children are just being orphaned. A lot of just kids, babies, everybody just being just going through an extraordinary, brutal time or whatever. And you think, oh, good, GoFundMe. That charitable website would just be like, okay, we got you, and we're kind of gonna be neutral, unless they have a very political leaning, something that we don't know, like, they in their minds view terrorists or whatever. But the fact that so many people, Palestinian people from Gaza, have to send the funds somewhere else, because apparently GoFundMe isn't allowing like transactions to be made directly to them. They hold it, or they freeze it, or they cancel it, and it gotta go somewhere else, and that somewhere else goes to them. It just shows that capitalism always finds a way. Like, capitalism is always gonna like find some way to make money while also like canceling, like insurance companies, where they kind of like deny, they make you pay it, but they don't want to openly say that they're trying to their whole business model is to deny you from actually like make it difficult for you to use your benefits. And I feel like that's the same scenario with GoFundMe, is that they just want to take all these people money who donate and then say, well, oh, we have some reason or another why we can't send them this money, and then they taking money off the top, because they have good hearts, and then they freeze or cancel, but they're still making their money, and they're still using the goodwill from people, and what people think, oh yeah, this money is going to the recipient, when more often than not, it's just it doesn't reach it in its intended it just doesn't reach the person who is supposed to reach. But it also falls back onto like, oh, how would we effectively stop AIPAC and just the Israeli government, and how would we change the Israeli people's mind? I do think that in order to stop any entity, like a global entity, is to find out how it feeds itself. And AIPAC feeds itself through money. So if we collectively can just stop that gravy train from going, then we can effectively stop their tentacles from spreading wide, and if we can stop people who control legislation, who push legislation, and who push laws, and who have the power, to arms deals and whatnot, and it's all through money, then I would think that that would be more effective. I'm not saying that protesting and calling out people and spreading information and caring is not effective. I just feel that money, these people who are these anti-missile rockets had to be purchased with money. The people who take care of the missiles have to be paid with money. The weapons that being sent to is money. The army, the people who serve in the Israeli government, who do all money. They're not doing this for free. They're not waking up and just being like, it's money. So if you stop that, close the nozzle, the money nozzle, then effectively people will be like, oh, I can't afford to do this. I can't get no more anti-aircraft missiles. I can't get any more weapons. We can't have any more people to enlist. And that's way, finding out all the branches and the tentacles and how far they reach and how far they extend seems like such a very difficult endeavor, but I do think that it's a worthwhile endeavor to be like, okay, even if I can't get to you directly, I can like hurt other people that are like indirectly affiliated to you. Like I can just be like, okay, no more money for you, you know? And I know you are connected to these people, and I know you rely on like these different industries to prop up like, a coalition of billionaires. So I know that at the end of the day, like I could be like, okay, like let's all work, but it's like everybody has to agree on like, okay, let's starve the billionaires, let's starve these BlackRock and Vanguard, and stop taking out credit cards and stop voting for these people and stop buying. It's like you have to like a huge amount of people gotta like move as one and just be like, we are not doing that today. Good luck. And they'll be like, oh no, they'll be like, oh, they'll still try, but it still won't make enough and it will move. Another thing I was thinking that we really do have to talk to the people that care and talk to the Israelis that care and the Israelis that see this for what this is. This is a genocide, and implore those Israelis to like recruit other people to view it that way, to be like, oh yeah, let's put pressure on the government, because at the end of the day, it just doesn't make sense, like logically, to bomb places where like if you want the hostages to be released, that where the hostages could have been. I don't like you bombing everywhere, and you're just like, well, hopefully no hostage was there. So it's like, but moreover than that, if you hopefully that you're not just worried about the hostages, and hopefully that you care that Palestinians' lives are just as valuable. They're just human beings, full stop, period. And that's enough to be like, yeah, genocide is bad, just is wrong, it's unlawful, should not exist. It's like we should protect them. They're humans, period. Like we shouldn't be like, but is there the right? No, they're humans. But I don't know how will we mobilize, and how will we target. How would if we wanted to do like say a little mini revolution, then it would be like, oh, you have to find like prominent targets to be like, okay, boycott. Like you have to be like, okay, no, and it doesn't even. And I feel like one of the most effective ways of like protest, is not only a boycott but to do nothing. I feel like I don't think like you should like go out into the streets and loot anything or smash windows or do anything. It's just not participate in, just be like, okay, we turning on the off switch in the economy. Do nothing. Like your government, all these other players, all the invisible hand needs you. They need, not that they want, they need you to go out there, work your job, get your credit card, spend money on your credit card, go into the economy, do it all over again, rinse and repeat, get babies or whatever. If the whole mass of you, if you're like, okay, we'll see about that. If a whole mass of you, millions of people, just say, I'm not going to work today, I'm not going on vacation, I'm canceling all my services, I'm staying at home, even if it's for like 2 weeks. Even if you just say, oh yeah, this is my schedule vacation or schedule whatever for one day. Like, economies around the world will tank, and then they would be like, oh shit, what did we do? They would be like, oh, please forget. They wouldn't even know how to act. Like, just being like, because that's power. To be able to say, okay, bet. You'd be like, oh no, just go back to sleep and wake up and just be like, okay. Nobody ain't going buying nothing. Nobody ain't going out. Nobody ain't doing nothing. It's like lockdown, but lockdown on like your wallet and shit. Like, you're not paying for just the essentials, and then you paying people like how it used to be, just person, not no big corporation or anything. And then you have people crying in the street talking about, oh, I didn't do anything. Why am I hurting? And people be mad, but it would move a lot of things, wouldn't it? But I don't know. It's just some thoughts. I do think that if you have any money, extra money, well, I don't know. I wouldn't say I would say donate where you can, but also do you vet people properly, to help, because every little bit goes a long way to the gasm, from the river to the sea, baby. Every little bit counts, and it's important to show solidarity, but actually support causes. I don't know. I've been chatting for a while. I don't know. Okay. Hopefully this recorded, but we'll see. Cause that's it. That's all, folks.